Is that us? It says live. It says live.
Hello, everyone. Good morning to you. Good morning,
Morning,
Aleem.
morning. Good morning. I hope you guys are absolutely amazing. A beautiful day.
Yes, beautiful sunshine here in Bristol. Where are you, Aleem, today?
In Norfolk, so London area.
Right, fabulous. Yeah, so guys, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. We set this online summit to inspire conversation about being the real you. What does it really mean these days
Yeah,
to really be true to yourself and feel authentic in what you do, in who you are, right? I think it's
yeah,
just huge topic and it's amazing just to chat about this. And me and Aleem just met
yeah.
recently in this awesome group for
Yeah,
people who want to be international speakers, and it's just full of amazing people and
yeah.
amazing conversations, and we just wanted to share it with you because I think it's just overflowing this
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
energy.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, so such an important subject, and something nowadays which is kind of forgotten about. I think, for me anyway,
yeah,
to being the real you, and there's a lot of people talking about it, but sometimes we're thinking, okay, so are they actually being the real them? Like when they're saying things, are they actually connecting deep inside?
yeah.
What's real? What's the real them? So yeah, definitely fascinating. Although,
So yeah, I just wonder, like, we all have like some stories in our lives, and very often when we kind of revisit certain times in our life, we just see those links and what normally it links so much to our limiting beliefs and what actually has been holding us back. And this is, at least for me, this was something that really made a lot of difference when it comes to me at one point realizing uh, how many things were holding me back and were stopping me from actually being my really myself, my true me.
hmm.
Yeah, do you resonate with this?
Yeah, definitely. When you said about my true me,
Yeah,
um, I would say most of my life I looked to fit in, so I wasn't being the true me, and because of that, that's kind of where my why comes from. Absolutely, yes, I can definitely agree with that. Is I can resonate with that for certain, and I guess a lot of people can as well. It's one of those things where you don't realize that you're not being the real you because you're so used to fitting in that
yeah,
the ability to stand out and be actually who you really are
yeah.
behind closed doors is one of the biggest gifts that you can ever have. And I don't think people realize how valuable it is. It really is. It really is a valuable thing to do.
So how do you can you, yeah, just like share a little bit of your own like story and what you have
Yeah.
learned from it?
Yeah, definitely. So it's quite funny because in an Asian family, unless you're a doctor, a psychologist, a pharmacist,
Yeah,
a lawyer, or judge, you're not really
yeah,
considered that highly, unfortunately. Um,
yeah,
or I could say fortunately now. It was
yeah,
unfortunate at the time. I was kind of growing up in an environment where obviously mum and dad were having their challenges. My brother and
mm,
myself were there. Mum was the peacemaker when dad was upset. And I kind of went through a place where I had to always look to fit in. So for me, for some children, they'd go outside of themselves and be really sort of play outside of themselves. For me, it was I was the quiet one, so the shy person. So I always learned to fit in. And education-wise, I went the traditional route. I said, okay, so you must study. Okay, I studied. You must learn. And I found it very, very hard, to be honest. Biggest challenges, if I remember back, was sort of GCSE levels, where I was expected to achieve a certain level, and I ended up with three of them, and none of them were maths and English. So wasn't considered very highly, right?
right,
So it's yeah. So for me, it was the comparison. So I felt constantly
mm,
compared against my cousins who were outperforming me education-wise massively, um,
yeah,
and I went to school, went to college afterwards. Still that struggle education-wise. I became a little bit more social. University, a little bit more social again, but still relatively quiet. Not really playing for that at all. Still following out someone else's path, actually. Still following, I believe, the guidance, family, my mum, and so on.
yeah,
Did the fitness industry, still under the same impersonation where I was still not being me. At times I was, and other times I'd hold myself back. And it wasn't until university, where this was many years ago, like when I did my master's, I found out the biggest shift for me was when I found out I was dyslexic. For me, it put put everything in alignment why things weren't working. But it also, at the time, was the biggest shift in myself, was the shift of identity, because I felt all those feelings of not being good enough just multiplied, absolutely multiplied.
I am always interested in this defining moment that we normally would have in our lives that helps us realize that, oh my God, I've been running this program all my life, okay, and not really revealing and living my life, just being myself. So what was this defining moment really for you?
It's interesting. I would say there was about 2 moments that I remember. And the first one was I went on a course last year, and the speaker shared an insight, which was, what you seek, I already have. So what I seek, I already have. And I thought, all this time I'm looking to prove myself education-wise. Really, I just had another realization 2 days ago. I've been looking to prove myself to my mum as well. So mum, dad, education-wise, prove people wrong. And that I would say was the biggest thing. I thought, oh my God, that's what I've been doing. That is what I've been doing. And the second one I would say was, there was a challenge that I don't know if anyone has met Warren Ryan. He likes to set you challenges, and some of them are quite challenging. So one of my challenges, he definitely does. So one of the challenges was to sing on the underground, the actual train itself. So the London Underground train, and wow, I felt.
What did you have to do?
Sing "I Believe I Can Fly." Sing, yeah.
How did it go?
It went really well, but it felt so freeing. I felt absolute total freedom, and it was almost like what I'd been trying to hide all this time was the fear of judgment, because I was afraid that if I was judged, that people would see the real me. And that for me was a defining moment, those 2 moments, and the process you go through along the way. But
if I can just ask you this question, because I had so many conversations around this fear of judgment, and I myself can so much resonate with your story, because I, just like you, I've been just like, throughout all my childhood, I've been constantly compared on a level of looks and achievements, whether that's my sister, whether that's my peers or colleagues from my class or work and stuff like this, constantly. But it all started from this one key experience that I had in my childhood, which literally always just stuck in my head, when we just had this competition in school, and me and other girl were just building tower from like Lego, blocks. And I actually won it, but I didn't hear really from my parent, excitement, acknowledgement, approval. It was more like critique that it wasn't really that good, although I won. So this is not something that really you want to hear. But what I've noticed that from that moment on, I just didn't feel enough. Just like this feeling of not being enough, the almost like ownership of this moment and acknowledgement of my victory, let's say, in this little competition, was almost like wiped out. So since then, whatever, I was pushing very hard to prove myself. So I was really good student. I got really great grades. I was studying chemistry for 5 years. I really went all in. Even in my work, I was doing all possible courses, whether that's accountancy or law or absolutely. And at one point, I really stopped, because I saw what's happening and where I am rushing, and that's not the way to go, because I was absolutely overworking myself and got to the point of burnout. And I actually invested in coaching. I know you're an NLP coach, and I think there is something absolutely amazing. If you guys haven't heard about coaching, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, it is extremely powerful. And I think that was the moment I saw how the quality of living is not just what I want, and I am not myself, because I felt that this is not me. You just know it. I think, guys, I think that's the key point. I think you agree. You know when you are yourself, because you feel lighter. You look at your body how you feel even physically. When you do something. Like physically, I feel lighter rather than heavier. I feel more like effortless in me rather than forced. You know what I mean? This type of kind of feelings are almost like physique and physiology almost. But mentally, I also like wanted just to change how I communicate with people, certain anxieties and stuff. And NLP coaching absolutely wiped this out, and that was for me defining moment where I could transform. And I actually was open for help, and I think that's a big thing, because we don't really overcome those limiting beliefs just out of nowhere. I mean, at one point we realized that we need other people to let them in our life, to let us help us, basically. Let them help us, basically, because and I think that that's something that I learned a lot, that without other people and acknowledging them, I cannot really approve myself. It is almost like you approve yourself and can be yourself because you first like start to see it like good things in other people and let them help you. And from that point, you actually become more kind toward yourself, more, there is self-compassion and all those good juicy stuff.
Definitely.
Would you agree that this definitely, like Warren, obviously, he also helped me then, even like recently, totally fear of judgment dropped. So much. It's fun. And
just what you said, actually, because it's one of those things. It's quite interesting because I've been doing all my studies and stuff since 2011. I think the greatest investment, apart from the courses and all the learning, which gave me absolute like fundamental application, is actually getting myself my own coach. It's crazy though, because you think, why would a coach get their own coach? But it's almost like I could justify it by saying the most successful people out there have coaches. But the honest truth is you don't see your blind spots. You don't see the full picture when you're in the frame. You just don't see it. I can justify things. I can put things in certain ways in my mind and easily justify it. But when someone else says, Aleem, you're still holding on to that. And you go, oh, okay. I need to work through that. So I think I think sometimes that's the forgotten thing, that actually for a coach, it's really powerful to be vulnerable, to realize actually where you have challenges, because then I can't take a client any deeper than I've been myself. And I think that's the most humbling process. And I think being the real you allow others to be the real them.
That's beautiful what you say. Yeah, you definitely do realize that it is not really about you when you break it down. In the end, this is really not about you. It's actually absolutely, helping other people in this, and just throughout this process, you help yourself, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I think. And going back also to what you say about Warren, guys, for all of you who don't know Warren Ryan is an international speaker. We just had the chance to meet him recently, and he is the most inspiring and most probably energetic person I've ever met in my life. When you meet him, when you speak to him, it's just like absolutely non-stop energy. But when it comes to pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, that's the very important element of breaking through your limiting beliefs. Okay, so for example, let's take fear of judgment alone. You don't maybe put your camera on and do Facebook lives dancing in front of your camera, which I did actually yesterday. Because why? Because you fear judgment. You feel that, oh my God, they probably will think I am silly, stupid, or who does she think she is, or all sorts of like. Or, oh my God, I will ruin my brand. Like that's very, very big.
Especially the brand thing actually is so interesting actually, because I remember having an interview with someone quite a while ago, and they told me the exact thing, like, what are you doing? You're getting yourself out there, but then what about your brand? And and it's quite funny that I think I think it's the purpose behind the challenge is to lose the fear of judgment. It's not the challenge itself and how you look. It's kind of lose that fear, so then people can see that you're you can take yourself not seriously at times as well.
I think I would very much agree here because, like, I am an image consultant, so I am very much in a visual industry, okay? And I have totally different approach, really, when it comes to this. So, and I obviously work with female entrepreneurs on branding as well, so that, you know, they really bring this most true version of themselves based on what true is for them and what actually they decide they want to show off, right? Because when you think about this, there are so many aspects of your life, okay, that you could invite people to, okay. For example, for me, the most important part in me is my story that I feel I want to share, and only when I share it, I feel more authentic. However, for some people are very private on this ground, but they are very easy and needy when it comes to sharing some other aspects of their private story, you know what I mean? So it is actually on us to decide which part of our story we really want to express and share with people, because only then we feel that we actually step into this more true, effortless, natural us. And that's exactly this real you. I think that's exactly what it is. I was thinking about this yesterday, even in the evening, that like I want to specifically share this, but you know what I mean? I don't necessarily want to share other aspects of my life, but I want to share my story. And why do I want to share specifically story and not my, I don't know, other personal stuff? Because the story is very much so me, you know, at heart. And I think that's very important that we, whoever is listening, guys, thank you for joining. I can see people. It's just about thinking about what stories have been in your life. Like, look back at childhood, because that was for me a huge discovery. So look back at your first experiences in childhood, what your parents were telling you, any sort of situations, like it can be anything. And I am pretty sure you know already that certain stories are more meaningful for you and closer to your heart than other stories. And you need to focus on those exact stories that are really there, that kind of are at the back of your head all your life. Like this one story from my childhood when I was in this competition at school. And you need to revisit those stories. You need to consciously, would you agree? You need to actually make decision that, I want to go back there. I literally want to go back there and actually think how this then, make me feel, affected me, look back on your life, how you live your life, what you do, and you will find a pattern, and I promise you will, because if you look properly and if you give yourself time to look, you will find. Would you agree, Aleem?
Definitely. There's always patterns. And another person I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if you guys have heard of a guy called Gavin Jones, and he talks about authenticity and integrity. And integrity has been described as what you say you're going to do, you do. And authenticity is working through what you've just said, revisiting the past and making peace with where things are, taking 100% responsibility and being at cause. So I think the way I love he describes it is you create space to allow things to flow into that space.
Yeah.
And being authentic, I'll bet you, look, I was holding on to resentment yesterday. I sent a message to someone and I feel so much lighter. And that's me noticing that whatever comes up for me, I ask myself, where's that come from? Because I think anytime that we hold resent and blame, we take away our essence of our authenticity because we don't show up as fully as we can. And I think we don't realize that a lot of times you hear people when they're saying, okay, I'm struggling in my business. And they're looking to prove themselves. They go, so where on earth has that come from? Who have you looked to prove yourself to? Was it mum or dad?
Yeah.
And if they've had to prove themselves to mum or dad, guess who the difficult clients are? The version of their mum or dad that's materializing in those clients. So unless they deal with that, that's going to affect their business. But they don't see that. They want the strategy. They want the communication skills. But actually, it's a sense of proving themselves is why they're finding it hard to step into that leadership role, because that's what's holding them back, not their ability to communicate.
I think this is so powerful what you are saying, absolutely. And I even, this is a process. It's not that.
No.
It is like the same, like self-love and all those like feelings. This is not really a destination. This is practice, everyday practice, pretty much a process. So I definitely I am in the process, but I already see, the all those kind of fears and fear of like judgment is really huge. That I changed, and I'm more open now to really be myself. And guys, I started doing live streams and videos like last year, even beyond that. And when I compare myself, I think that's the best way, because in a tangible way, you can literally see the change. And I think that's very good practice. You don't have to even probably post this, but if you don't want, but you can just do those little videos or whatever, is up your street, but compare it, So when I look at videos from last year versus now, there's totally different energy. I can see me peeling the layers of this kind of conditioning that I had, and absolutely revealing, actually revealing the more authentic me, which means more authentic me, which is the one that is just enough. Because if I didn't feel enough, I would just not be able. I would maybe more on a show off, or like different. You can see different energy, but actually, when you allow yourself, I even was writing this yesterday, that like just allowing yourself be yourself. Means pretty much to me being your real you.
Yes.
If I could define it.
So it's interesting, because as you were saying, it's that process. It really is, and it's the weird thing is the more we do work on ourselves, still do work on your business, still do work on your relationships, but you show up so much differently when you free. Like literally, I feel so light. Like just letting go of that resentment yesterday. Wow, I just feel like and then just reconnecting with my why again. Just feel on a different, on a different frequency than the last week. And it's interesting that we have moments where things will release. And you think, that's cool. And it's, as you said, it's not an end to get to. It's not a goal in itself. The goal is the process. And I think that's the key thing. I think even with life as well, that sense of becoming more authentic or hitting the next thing in your business is a process. I think people focus so much on the end goal that they forget where they are in the process. So they unfortunately start feeling miserable where they are. And the goal is set as the pleasure zone, rather than actually having a sense of gratitude of where they currently are and what steps they've taken. And I think that's important. Gratitude is key as well for me, in regards to authenticity, because like you said, you don't realize how far you've come unless you kind of explore, actually 3 years from now, 2 years in the past, how far have I come?
Yeah. And actually, if I can just go back to the branding, because I think that was the thought we had, and I didn't finish it. So like all of you guys who are business owners, entrepreneurs, right? You are very familiar with the concept of branding. So I think I also kind of slightly changed the whole kind of understanding and interpretation of what really brand is. Because yes, we do focus on those kind of certain like rules of, I don't know, like there are so many people like, some of them say, obviously, great photography, absolutely. Some of them say colors, some of them, like all sorts of stuff, like very almost like structured way of building the brand. But actually, when you take it out, and just focus that, well, hang on, like my personal brand is pretty much me. So the more real and more myself I show up, that's the most strong brand you can ever build, I think. If you focus more on just being yourself and showing up as you, and you need to define what it really means to you, because to me, that's my story, to Aleem is his story, and but the thing is that you you just know when you feel just really you, and then when you actually show up, that's, I think, the strongest message and the way of actually building brand, starting from here. I'm not saying that other things don't matter. I think it's good to absolutely, have website, have a good, presence. But this is just to support you. I think, and very often we start from the other side, right, Aleem? So we would do all those stuff, and then we totally forget about the core that actually, hang on, how do you really show up? How do you really feel? That's why there are so many stories of people achieving so-called success, okay? But they hit the ceiling. They just I don't really know who I am. I literally I've built a successful business, but where is me in it? Yeah. They forgot about the most important bit. Yeah, so I think it's good to voice this kind of perspective and approach, because, like I said, I am in a visual business, so I would, obviously just focus on this. But actually, my approach is more from inside out rather than from outside in.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was just about to say that it's an inside out approach, and it's an inside out game in life. It's a mindset game. It really is. And coming from those core values is what you represent, as you were saying, as a brand, because the visuals are important, but they're a representation of who you are rather than the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think it's very important. And I think when you just look in your story, you and me, it's just just kind of realizing that very often you actually find your business why and your general personal why just by actually feeling you really are yourself. And I think that's something that I've discovered thanks to actually Ryan again. Because I actually really I think the one task that you can guys do, and I suggest you do, because it's absolutely transformational for me, at least. Yes. It was writing a letter to my inner child.
Okay.
This was, I don't know for you, but for me it was, I don't know, it was so emotional. It was so transformational, because it is the limiting beliefs that this inner child was holding so tight to, and I had to absolutely just look after her and kind of let her just apologize to myself almost for holding myself back because of the story I was telling myself. I think those stories, it's powerful.
And I think another thing you've already touched on is something like the why. So what's driving you? And sometimes what I like to look at is what's the why behind the why. So what I mean
why by behind the why?
Yeah. So what does the why give you? So for me, my why is, and I think you've started to express yours as well, is inspiring people that have felt not good enough, felt stuck in a 9-to-5 job, and have settled. They're the nice person. And how do they normally grow up? Like I did. They normally have a very strong mother figure. They have a dad that's critical or not there, and they become, if it's guys, they jump into the feminine role and that energy, but they don't have the masculine energy as well. So you need obviously a combination of both. And it's really weird when I speak to people and I listen to them, and I'm like, before they even tell me their story, I'm like, I know where this is going. There's been some sort of proving. I can feel it, but I hold myself back and say, look, let them open up. I can feel where it's going. And the why behind the why, I was talking about that insight, what I seek, I already have, because what I was driven by was significance. So what you were describing about the person that's successful and then suddenly it doesn't make sense. Unfortunately, they were driven by significance. They wanted to feel so important that they've done it. But what they really seeked was love and connection. But the more important they became, the less open people were to actually connect with them. Instead, they wanted to transact with them.
Yeah. I think this is exactly. I think that's actually really good. Almost like conclusion finish to this lovely morning conversation. But yes, it is definitely the need of significance, and that's exactly something that I can see. I've been also running throughout my life. So guys, I hope this you find this inspirational. I know you do, because we all have those limiting beliefs. We all have this kind of question that we ask ourselves, how to be really myself, how to really feel good in my own skin, how to be true to myself. And we with Aleem, we do believe you know the answer, because the answer is in you. You don't look for answer outside, but you can definitely invite people to help you in overcoming some beliefs, because then overcoming beliefs will just peel off those layers, and then you actually will be able to see what you are about truly. That's exactly like my case. I think Aleem, for you the same. So we invite you basically to to really assess this, and just be on this way to feel absolutely effortlessly yourself, who you are, and just live life being yourself. I mean, that's huge. There's no better thing in purpose in life than just this, and then obviously using it to inspire and help other people just with this, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a perfect note, and just as you said, it's the biggest gift that you can have. And it's the biggest gift that most people don't have, because they don't realize that actually they can have it. Rather than a having goal, it's almost like it's a being goal. We're so focused on having and taking action and having stuff that we forget that we take ourselves in every place that we go. So we're the being in all of it.
And also, guys, obviously, my name is Gosia Scarrott, as Aleem. I don't know if I actually introduced us in the beginning. However, if you would like to see a bit more about what we do, how we help other people, check out our pages. Like my one is, let's see, my one is, no, that's yours. So you have just Facebook. So go to Aleem. Aleem, how do you say your surname? Aleem
Gulamhusein.
Gulamhusein. Oh, so it is not difficult. Gulamhusein. But yes, if you want to check out also my thing, which is.
I'm glad one of us is prepared with the links.
Yeah, I'm just like kind of. Not getting it now.
Okay. What I suggest, probably Gosia, what you can do is type your link in the main box as well. So guys, keep an eye for Gosia's link. Not only she's an awesome stylist, and really, I think the difference what she does compared to other people, she really connects with people who they are at their core, because that's fundamental with any sort of stylist, where you can really connect with that sense. Because I see this, like Russell, when you interviewed someone the other day, and you really connect with who they are, and that becomes their brand. You know what I mean? They are their brand, and how you demonstrate that and your energy is sort of uplifting. So do type it in, because I think people need to see it.
Oh, well, my website, giostyling.com, Soulful Stylist for you. Guys, thanks so much. Thank you so much, Aleem. That was amazing. And just have a fabulous, awesome day in life.
Thank you. And guys, also what I was going to say, and I think Gosia will probably say this, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you have any questions, type it in below. We can either of us can answer that later time if you've got any questions.
Lovely. Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.